The story begins with the sealing of the demon prince, who wreaked havoc upon the demon realm. His sealing brought joy to all the demons, and all of them unanimously cheered for this occasion and felt relieved. A demon whose sealing brought joy to his kin. Just what kind of commotion could he have caused to be forsaken by his kin? The reason? He was way just too powerful and loved destruction, and because of that he was sealed by none the other than his own father, Demon Lord himself. His soul was sealed in an octagonal emblem, and it was thrown into the human realm to make sure he remained eternally sealed. In the human world, also known as Murim world, after a long time the emblem was discovered by a traveling merchant who happened to chance upon a cave to take shelter from the rain. There, he found an old wooden box that was meticulously sealed. Opening it, he found books with illegible text and an octagonal emblem along with some other stuff. He thought this box was left by an old sage who had secluded himself from the world. He decided to take it along with him. On returning home, he tried to decipher the text, but to no avail. With time, the box was passed along with its contents to his decadence as a family heirloom. A fourth-generation descendant was not interested in the old book's secret, so he gave the box to his acquaintance, and it ended up in the hands of 𝘾𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙢𝙢, who then tried to decrypt it zealously. 𝘾𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙢 was a language expert, and he was living in a village with his 7-year-old son, 𝘾𝙤𝙢𝙢. 𝘾𝙤𝙢𝙢 always saw his father surrounded by books, and he didn't like his profession as he felt lonely. Whenever his father hung out with 𝘾𝙤𝙢𝙢, he told him stories about his dead mother while drinking alcohol. Despite the unflattering smell of alcohol, 𝘾𝙤𝙢𝙢 liked this fragment of time. One day, a friend of 𝘾𝙤𝙢's father comes to invite him to the royal palace to interpret some ancient text. As 𝘾𝙤𝙢 wasn't willing to waste his time on any trivial thing, he tries to convince him by giving him several reasons, as his savings have vanished, and he is in debt now. He must go to the palace, as the reward was great. "At least you should think about your son's future," his friend said. He ended up succeeding in convincing 𝘾𝙤𝙢. Hence, the boy's father departs for the palace, leaving his son, 𝘾𝙤𝙢, with a nanny. 𝘾𝙤𝙢 tries to persuade his father to not worry about him. Several days go by as 𝘾𝙤𝙢 awaits his father's return at the doorstep. As night begins to fall, he returned to his room disappointingly. Suddenly, he became curious about his father's study room, so he enters his father's study room and gets astonished by the number of books there. As 𝘾𝙤𝙢 looks around, he finds a peculiar painting hung on the wall. He moves it aside to find his father's secret room. Curiously, he enters to take a look. He finds an old wooden box there and opens it. He discovers some unknown language books and an octagon emblem. He picks it up, but he gets terrified of the engraving, so he tries to put it back inside the box. While doing so, he injures himself with a wooden splinter and his blood drops on the octagon emblem. And this act awakens the demon from his long slumber. A glowing light suddenly enters 𝘾𝙤𝙢's body through his eyes, and darkness engulfs him. 𝘾𝙤𝙢 regains his consciousness the next morning. He hurriedly closes the box and tries to leave it in the hidden room. But soon, he begins to hear some voice in his head. He looks around, but there is nothing around. Startled, he starts shouting and running. However, the demon already had him in his grasp, and he forcefully tries to take over 𝘾𝙤𝙢's body. The demon takes control of his arms and attempts to make 𝘾𝙤𝙢 unconscious, but gets overpowered by 𝘾𝙤𝙢's willpower. As he starts climbing the stairs, the demon attacks again, but fails to take control of 𝘾𝙤𝙢. Now the demon begins to ponder, why has he failed to take control of this little kid? The reason he comes up with was that this was the work of his father. Then he takes a step back and starts thinking, since he has already escaped that cursed sealing emblem, he can take his time to take control of this little boy. Hence begins the story of 𝘾𝙤𝙢, who has 2 OP demon prince residing in him as he begins to entice 𝘾𝙤𝙢 to take over the Murim world with magic.